Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're gonna be doing a video. I'm gonna walk you guys through everything that goes with me on a typical wedding day that's actually in my bag that stays with me all day long. So there's other bags that I bring with me, other gear that I bring with me, like light stands, other flash gear, other lighting gear, but that's all like in other bigger bags that typically stay in the car until I get to either the ceremony or the reception. What we're talking about today is my actual bag that's on me all day long, that's with me everywhere I go, from the very beginning of the day to the very end of the day. And the way I structure it is everything that goes in this bag, I could shoot an entire wedding on with just what's in this bag. So if my car exploded, if it got stolen, broken into, whatever, as long as I have this bag with me all day long, within my reach, which it always is, I know I can shoot an entire wedding day with the gear that's in here. So with that said, let's go ahead and actually jump into the actual bag itself and start talking about all the gear I bring with me to a typical wedding as a Sony shooter. So first things first, the main thing we're gonna talk about is the bag itself. So I've got one of these old school low Pro Tactic 450 bags, this guy right here. It's kind of the YouTuber special, if you will. It seems like everybody has this bag, or at least had it at one point. Definitely a very popular bag, and for good reason. It's really good value. This thing, I've had it for 3 or 4 years now, and it's held up really, really well. This is the Generation 1, not the Generation 2 that came out, I think, maybe a year or two ago. And it's been a great bag. It holds a ton of gear, which is a blessing and a curse. But it's really deep. You can get a lot of big lenses in here without having to lay them down flat. Just all around, really great bag. I've really been appreciative of it. And I've had it everywhere. I brought it all around the country for traveling, for weddings, for portrait shoots, for everything I do. It goes with me everywhere I go, and it's been a great solid bag. And like most of the things in this video, I'll leave links down to everything in the comment section down below. So if you want to check any of this stuff out, you can always go down there and take a look. But yeah, that's the bag, the Low Pro 450 all weather, whatever. Again, you can go learn more about that somewhere else, like on the website, but great bag. I definitely recommend it. Let's go ahead and dive a little bit deeper into the bag now and get started with the actual gear itself. All right, so here we are inside the bag. We'll go ahead and start towards the top of the bag and work our way down. The first thing we'll talk about is the actual camera itself that's up here. We got the A7R3. This is the newest of my 2 camera bodies from Sony. I also shoot with an A7 III, which I'm filming this video on right now, but I usually keep one of my bodies in here with usually either the 55 or the 85 on the camera body. In this particular case, I've got the 55 1.8 from Zeiss. The A7R3, it's been a fantastic body for weddings. I originally picked it up as a backup body, but really what I ended up doing was transitioning to shooting with both an A7 III and an A7R3 simultaneously throughout the day. They're both great cameras. They both have the pluses and minuses. I love them both. I did another video a couple weeks ago talking about the differences between the A7 III and the R3 for weddings. If you're interested in that information, you can go watch that video. But yeah, A7R3, great camera. It goes up here. And again, attached to it, I got the 55mm 1.8 Zeiss. Again, a really great lens. It's super sharp, reasonably priced at about $1,000. You can pick them up used for like $800 now. So it's not cheap, but it's still a really good value for the money that you're paying for. And it's really small, it's really lightweight, very compact, which is great for a running gun lens that you're gonna be bringing with you all day long, everywhere you go. So yeah, 55 1.8, love it. I usually leave it on the camera body at the very beginning of the day when I arrive, because typically what I end up doing is I usually end up starting with detail shots when I arrive at the bridal suite. And so typically what I'll do is I'll throw the 55 on if it's not already on the camera body, and I'll do a lot of those details with the 55. I find a nice standard focal length with the 55 is really great for that. You get great shots of the invitations, the rings, the shoes, the dress, whatever, and it does most of that very well. Occasionally I'll break out the 85 or the 35 to get a little bit of that, but for the most part, I'd say I probably shoot 80 to 90% of the details on my 55 1.8. So that's why I leave it on there. It's usually the first lens I go to the beginning of the day. But yeah, so that lives right up there. Again, as I mentioned just a minute ago, I also have an A7 III, which is my primary body for the day. That's usually going to be in either one of these 2 empty spots you see right here. And again, A7 III, a really solid wedding camera. It's hard to beat. 24 megapixels is perfect for weddings. The file sizes aren't too big. It's great in low light. Autofocus is perfect. It's just an amazing camera. Again, I've got another video where I talk about the bonuses or the great things about the A7 III and the A7R3 for weddings in another video. Go watch that if you're interested. But yeah, for the most part, really great, fantastic cameras. I love them both. Over here, we've got the 85mm 1.8, another really great lens. I love this thing. 85mm focal length is easily one of my favorite lenses ever. Before getting into weddings, I started off doing a lot of portraits, and the 85mm is kind of this quintessential portrait lens, and it's for good reason. You can get some really great separation. In this particular version, the 85mm 1.8 from Sony, really sharp, really lightweight and compact again as well. And I thought about getting the 85 1.4 when I first switched over from Canon. But again, this guy is so much cheaper, and yeah, you lose 2/3 of a stop of light, but it's such a great value. It does so much. It's a great workhorse lens. I've been using it for a couple years. I mean, really, this thing's like brand new. It hasn't, you know, it doesn't really show anywhere. Granted, I tend to take really good care of my gear, but yeah, the 85mm, great lens. I definitely recommend it, even for professional work, even though it's not the G Master lens, still does great. Speaking of G Master, I've got the 16-35 2.8 right here. Another really great, fantastic lens. Again, when I was shooting on Canon, I had the 24-70 2.8 version 2. Great lens, super sharp, and the 24-70 is definitely kind of that go-to lens that most people recommend for portraits or weddings or really most work because it's so versatile. But for me personally, I never really liked the way a 24-70 looked. So when I switched over from Canon over to Sony, I decided to go with the 16-35 because the other issue that I always wound up with the 24-70 was it felt like I always wanted something a little bit wider. Like 24 was never just quite wide enough. So again, when I switched over to Sony, I had the option of getting the 16-35 instead. So that's what I did. And for me personally, in the way I shoot, the 16-35 has been a much better option. I love this lens. I use it all the time. It's been a great buy. So that guy lives right there. Again, I'm filming with the 35mm 1.4 right now, so I don't have it in the bag, but it usually goes in one of these two spots. And again, 35mm 1.4 from Zeiss. Fantastic lens, very sharp. I love the way a 35-1.4 looks when you're shooting wide open for portraits. You get a good amount of the background in, and like that, just that little bit of background depth that you get just has a really nice, pleasant look to it. 35mm, definitely one of my favorite focal lengths. I use it for everything from portraits to wide shots during the reception. I use it for wide shots during the ceremony. I use it for group shots occasionally. You know, I just use it whenever I need it. It's a great lens. Whenever I want that 35 look, it's nice to have it, and definitely one of my favorite lenses. And again, that lives up in one of these two empty spots up here. Moving on, right in this little spot right here, in between, we got this little spot. And right here, I've got one of these Think Tank SD card wallets. Basically just a nice, easy way of organizing a bunch of extra SD cards. So if I always bring extra SD cards with me to a wedding in case I have one that does go bad. Or I also keep all my extra cards in here that I give off to my second shooters, so that way I've got spare cards to give to them that they can shoot on and then give me it back at the end of the night. But yeah, just a nice convenient way a nice compact way of holding a few extra SD cards, so that goes right in there. Moving on, we'll go back to this spot right here. So over here, I've got a couple of these Flashpoint Godox, whatever you want to call them, off-camera flash triggers. So this one is the R2 Pro from Flashpoint. Now I really like this one for a couple of reasons. One of the biggest ones being that it has these buttons here along the side that allow you to switch back and forth between your different groups. So if you've got a bunch of different flashes set up around the reception dance floor, you can turn them off, turn them on, change the power very quickly, very easily without changing the power of all of them. So again, I absolutely love this guy. It's one of my favorites. I've been using it for a long time. Highly recommend it. More recently, what I ended up picking up was one of these XT2 triggers. This is the Godox branded version. I like this one, again, for the same reason. It's got the ability to change the A, B, C, D, whatever groups very quickly, very easily, so you control your light groupings seamlessly, really straightforward. The other thing I really like about it is you got a hot shoe at the very top. I don't use it as a hot shoe so much, but I do like to use the cold shoe part of it by throwing a GoPro in there. Hint, hint, I got some more behind the scenes stuff coming up soon, so that's one of the reasons why I got this. I haven't decided whether or not I'm gonna get a second one. That way I've got matching triggers for both cameras. So far, it's been fine using the two different ones for each camera, but I guess I should say that's the other reason why I have two is I've got two camera bodies, so I want to have both camera triggers or two camera triggers, one for each body. That way I can control all my lights regardless of which camera I'm actually shooting on. Yeah, X2T Godox trigger. I really like this thing. I find it to be very, very reliable. Same thing with all the Godox equipment, to be honest. I really do like it. I highly recommend it if you're getting into flash for the first time. Great brand, great value, can't go wrong with that. Okay, moving on, we got this section right here. There's a lot piled in here, so let's kind of go through it. First things first, I've got this little, again, another Think Tank pouch. This one has a bunch of extra batteries. So these fit the A73, the Z series batteries perfectly. They slide in here like they're like perfectly sized. You couldn't ask for a better fit. Great pouch, nice easy way of keeping your batteries organized. Another thing I really like about it, or not necessarily like about the pouch, but it's something I do because I'm a little bit OCD, is so with the batteries, you get the little arrow on the Sony batteries that points up as far as which way to insert it into the camera. What I do is when these batteries are fully charged, I have the arrow up in the pouch. That way when I open the pouch, I know which batteries are fully charged. And once I actually deplete a battery and I go to replace it, I take it and I put the arrow down. So that way I know when I come back out, if the arrow's facing down, I know that battery is dead and not to use it, and which ones I need to charge at the end of the night. So a little pro tip for you guys there, if you use one of these pouches, that's a nice easy way of keeping track of which batteries are live and which ones are dead. But yeah, I think these things are like maybe 15 bucks. They're a little bit pricey, but in my opinion, they're worth it. It's nice to keep things organized. All right, moving on a little bit further down, I've got another one of those think tank pouches, except in this one, what I have is a bunch of AA batteries. You know, use AA batteries, you use them for everything, like those, you know, your OCF triggers from Godox, Flashpoint, whatever. And, you know, just AA batteries, you use them for so many things. You never know where you might need one. So it's nice to have a few extra spares in here as well. So I just keep those in a spare pouch. Those definitely come in handy from time to time. All right, so over here in the corner, I've got one of these Magmod gel pouches. So if you're not familiar with Magmod, they're a really, really cool company. I only just finally started buying into them this last wedding season. I've known about them for a while. It's just their gear is kind of pricey, so it kind of kept me out of it for a while. But to be honest, guys, I really, really do love it. I would really recommend it. The thing I love the most about it is it's really been getting me to use colored and correction gels a lot more regularly. Before having to fiddle with the old school gels, the plastic ones with the rubber bands, I just never really enjoyed using those. They're more of a pain in the ass to me than they're worth. And so I stayed away from using gels in my photography for a long time. But more recently, I've been getting into using these gels. The other thing I really like about the Magmod stuff and the gels in particular is they actually have all of the color and the correction values actually imprinted on the actual gels themselves. So this one is actually color gel, so it just says orange, but your correction gels will tell you, like right over here, I pull this one out. This one's got a quarter CTO, and so I got others that are a half CTO, a full CTO. It makes it really easy, even when it's late at night and it's really dark at the reception hall, or you're outdoors and it's dark, or whatever it may be. It makes it really easy to figure out which gel you got, because you know, if it's dark outside, a half straw versus a half CTO, it's kind of hard to tell, but you can just look at the imprinting on there and figure it out that way. Anyway, so these are just a bunch of correction gels for flashes. I'll talk more about that in a second. And this is just like a little bit of a wallet to keep them organized. That lives over here. Yeah, Magmod. I'll maybe do another video about that in the future, talk more in depth about them and the things I like about it. Okay, also in this pouch, or this little section of the bag, I've got this think tank pouch, little clear case. I have a bunch of cables and miscellaneous stuff in here. Let's go through this real quick. So I've got, down in the bottom here, I've got like a little USB thumb drive thing for your SD card. So if I need to offload footage from a second shooter, I've got this guy right here to use to do that. I've got, you know, a little Apple Thunderbolt cable right here, which I then connect to either my little wall wart, my AC adapter, if my phone dies, or what I usually do first is I use this little Mophie battery charger. I forget what the milliamps is on this thing, but you can get a couple phone charges out of it. But if my phone starts to die by the end of the wedding day, I can go ahead and just plug it in here, usually during dinner, and then I usually get like half a charge on my phone by the time I'm done eating. And then I've got phone again for the rest of the night, and I can find my way home if I'm somewhere that I've never been before. So there's that. Oh geez, what else do I got in here? I got these little cable tie thingies, which are really just like, they're just cable ties. They just kind of, you know, I use these mostly for video when I've got, if I'm the rare time I'm doing video, I'll use these to keep my cables more organized. But those live in there as well. I got a bunch of other miscellaneous cables, USB cables, micro USB, whatever, all the random cables you need. And then of course I've got the quintessential string lights. I use these mostly for during the reception, just to kind of give a little bit of visual interest. You can kind of put these in front of the lens, get some bokeh in the foreground. It's fun to play around with every now and again if you've got a few extra minutes. So those live in there. I'll break those out every now and again, but not too often. But yeah, so that all lives in this little pouch right there. I keep it nice and organized. Okay, moving on to the bottom section of this bag. First thing down here, I've got a think tank camera strap. I don't use this thing hardly ever. I almost never use it, especially now that I've switched to shooting with two camera bodies at a wedding day. So the main thing I use is a hold fast camera or hold fast money maker for a dual camera strap. I mostly use that if I ever use a camera strap. If I'm shooting on just one body, I usually don't use a camera strap, but it's in here if I need it. I just keep it. It's not bulky. It doesn't weigh anything, so I just bring it with me. Let's see. Let's keep moving on. We'll go with this first. So if any of you guys shoot with a mirrorless camera, you guys know if your sensor gets dust on it, it's just the fact of, or the part of the process of owning a mirrorless camera. So I've got this little cleaning kit from Zeiss down here. It's got a little rocket blower for blowing off the sensor, blowing out your lenses. Again, a must have if you're shooting mirrorless. And then also inside this little pouch, you've got like a little lens brush that you can use. And then I've got some, like a microfiber cloth, some cleaning spray, as well as these little individual lens wipes from Zeiss. So just a little bit of a cleaning kit. If your lens gets dirty, you get a little bit of a spray on it, or if you just get some dust on your sensor, it's nice to have that to clean things off real quick. So yeah, cleaning kit, kind of a must have in my opinion if you're shooting on mirrorless. So there's that. Okay, so moving on, I've got a Flashpoint Speedlights. Again, the purpose of this bag, the whole idea behind what's inside of it is I have everything that I could possibly need to shoot an entire wedding day if I absolutely had to. I'm not saying it would be ideal, but if I absolutely had to rely on just what's in this bag, I could. And so in here, I've also got my Zoom, a Flashpoint Zoom Lithium Ion Mini. I love this guy. It's a tiny little flash. It's a mini speed light, but it's got a lithium ion battery, so you can shoot a ton of full power flashes, not that you need to. Even though it's smaller than a regular or a full size standard speed light, it still packs a ton of power, more than enough for weddings to be able to do bounce flash, to do direct flash, whatever you need it to do. It's a really great speed light. And because again, the Sony bodies are a little bit small, they're not as big, the grip isn't as substantial as some other cameras. So I find it to be a little bit awkward having a standard size speed light. But these mini speed lights work really great because they don't weigh as much, they're not nearly as big, and the balance on the camera just is a little bit better with these. So I really like this guy. I keep this in the bag with me. Really convenient, nice and small, compact size. Just a great flash all around. And they're very affordable. They're like less than $100, I think, even for the lithium ion version. Now you might notice I've got this weird contraption on here. Now this is the Magmod Mag Grip. So again, if you're not familiar with Magmod, the whole idea behind the product line is that it's a way to add modifiers to your lighting systems via magnets. Whole idea being it just makes the process very quick, very easy. So with this, you've basically got two magnets on either side of this guy, which you can then attach modifiers such as these. Now what are these? These are the Magmod accessories. So here I've got a couple grids. Here's one grid, here's another grid, and then I've got two gels with gel holders. So again, you guys saw the gels earlier. So now we've got the individual gel, we got a gel holder, and these are just a really quick, easy way of being able to throw a gel inside a gel holder. And then this gel holder has magnets, and then when you're ready to attach it to your flash, you just toss it right on there and then it locks in place with the magnets. It's not gonna go anywhere. And now you've got a light that is gelled, and this particular gel is a full CTO. So again, if you wanted to add a full CTO to your speed light, it's that quick. It takes 2 seconds. I love it. It's so much easier than dealing with like the old-fashioned ones with the rubber bands. So much quicker, so much easier. Yeah, it's definitely very pricey. It's not cheap, but if you can afford it, I definitely recommend it. It's definitely worth it in my opinion. So it's a great way to be able to gel your flashes, or conversely, it's a great way, where'd they go? Where'd my grids go? There they go. It's a great way to be able to grid your flash as well. So this right here is a grid. It's going to be able to cut the lights and make it so that you can focus your light on whatever you're shooting at a little bit better. You can really focus it in. And I find that the grid, I don't know what it is, but the grid on a speed light, it just changes the quality of the light in a really positive way. And even though I generally don't shoot direct flash, a direct flash with one of these grids on it actually does not look bad. I don't know how to describe it, but I really have been enjoying shooting with these grids. You can also stack them in order to focus the beam down a little bit more, but anyway, that's as much as I'm going to talk about that. Magmod stuff in here, so a couple gels, a couple grids, again, just some stuff to get me by if I need to. Now the last thing I've got down in this section right here is another Magmod product, and this is the Mag Sphere, also jokingly known in the Magmod circle as the Mag Boob, and I think you guys can understand why. And again, this is basically just, it's a way of basically diffusing your light a little bit. It's very similar to the Gary Fong thing, whatever the hell that's called. And for a long time, I was definitely very much against these sorts of modifiers. I was kind of a little bit of a modifier snob where I felt like anything less than like a 36-inch octabox was gonna be too harsh of a light and not worth your time. But to be honest, guys, like for a wedding, when you're looking for like a quick running gun setup for like a sparkler exit or like a quick night shot or whatever, honestly, like yeah, it's not the softest light. It's a little bit hard, but honestly, guys, like the quality of the light is actually pretty damn good. I've actually been really surprised by it. And if you guys want to check out work, like you can go to Magmod's page and you can go on their Instagram, whatever, you can see just example after example after example of people using mag spheres combined with mag rids, and the work is amazing. And again, I'm relatively new to the Magmod stuff. I'm really looking forward to using it for a full wedding season in 2020 and really seeing what I can come up with. But so far I've been really enjoying it. But yeah, Magmod, Magboob, that lives down there as well. And all right, so that's pretty much everything for the main compartment of the bag. Let's go ahead and switch over to the actual cover. There's really not much there, but we'll talk about it anyway. All right, so here's the cover. We've got a few things up in here, not a whole lot. So we'll talk about this main compartment right here. So in here, I've just got like an Allen wrench for some Peak Design clip stuff. I'm not really gonna talk about that too much. I also have a flashlight up in here. The flashlight can be helpful at night, the end of the reception, when you are trying to find all your gear and make sure you've got everything, you're trying to pack up your bag. Having a flashlight is just a useful tool. I keep that right in there. Up here, up on this end, again, not much. Just a spare SD card, a 128, whatever, extreme, SanDisk, whatever. It's just a generic SD card. I always just keep this one up here because I never use it. It's just there in case for whatever reason you wind up at a shoot and you forgot a memory card. That should never happen, but you know, if it ever did, I've got a spare memory card up here that I can always go to. I also keep one in my car. That's a trick I learned from Tony Northrup when I first got started into photography. He was talking about it in a video and I was like, that's a good idea. I implemented it years ago and I've never had to use it, but it's there just in case. And then in this pouch right here, I've just got like a Peak Design little square capture clip. Not something I use as much anymore, but it's something I used to use quite a bit. And but yeah, anyway guys, that's everything. That's everything in my bag that I bring with me. Now again, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, there's more that I bring with me to a wedding. I've got a couple other bags full of gear that I bring that has light stands, other modifiers, umbrellas, soft boxes. It's got, you know, 80-200s, other gear that I bring with me to light and do the work that I do. But the way I structured this bag is that, again, everything that I would absolutely have to have in an emergency, if all my other gear got lost, stolen, blown up, destroyed, sunk in a weird flooding accident, everything I need is in this bag. Would it be a perfect ideal wedding day? No, but I could definitely do like everything I needed to with this one bag, and that's the way I structured. So the way I look at it is I'd rather have everything with me. If everything got stolen, it's all there. But anyway, I think you guys get the point. So I think that's gonna be the end of this video, guys. I'm gonna try to cut it short. I know this is probably gonna be a long video, so if you guys stuck around this long, thank you, I appreciate it. Hopefully you guys found it somewhat interesting, got some interesting ideas for maybe some gear to, you know, look into or maybe buy for yourself or whatever. If you found it useful, if you found it entertaining, whatever, hit the thumbs up button. It would mean a lot to me, definitely help me out. If you want to see more content like this, or if you want to see more behind the scenes stuff, that's going to be coming out here very soon. Definitely go ahead and subscribe. That's going to be coming up here very shortly. And then other than that, guys, if you got questions, comments, whatever, leave them down below. Or if you guys have gear that you bring with you on a wedding day that you find to be super valuable, go ahead and share that in the comments. Let's help each other out. Let's be a community here. Let's you know, be a community over a competition. And other than that, guys, we're going to go ahead and end this video. So again, as always, stay safe, keep shooting, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.